Hey everybody, I am Captain Tommy Scoble and you are on the lifeboat. We're going to be talking a little true crime today, people. This one stinks. I'm telling you straight out, right? This one doesn't smell right. I'm telling you from Jump Street. We talked about Derek Chauvin getting stabbed in a protective custody prison in Tucson, Arizona. He was at the Federal Correction Institution, right? The FCI. He was not at a USP, right? A high custody yard. Not only was he at a low custody yard, he was at the ultimate low custody yard. There was about 300 people. That means there's only 2 units on that entire prison that had any inmates in it. This stabbing apparently took place in the law library. By the way, research from this, Larry Lawton, man. You guys know Larry's channel. He's got a huge following. He did some bang up research on this. I love listening to him because his theories are usually really spot on, especially because of the amount of time that he did in the federal system, which is pretty comparable to the amount of time I did. I think I agree with him on almost every single thing he said about this. Turns out the guy that did its name is John Tursak, right? Here's where it starts getting weird right from Jump Street. John Tursak is a guy that in 2001 testified against the Black Hand, right? That's the real deal, guys. That's the no joke Mexican mafia. That's the guys that wield an incredible amount of power both inside and outside the federal prison system in a very big way. So in 2001, he got a deal and became a persona non grata, right? The gang does not like him. That's why he's on that yard, right? That's why he's not walking a regular yard. He's on a sensitive needs yard, and he's on the big sensitive needs yard. The proof of that is that on the same yard is Derek Chauvin, right? Who we all know is a high profile inmate. As they were in the law library, Mr. Tursak took out a homemade prison knife. This would have been made probably with something plastic. Very often the covers that cover the fluorescent lights make a great thing from which to start. They melt them, they fold them over, right? They do everything they can to get kind of a tensile strength kind of thing where it's not going to break. You only need it to be about 2 inches long. And then they take a very long time attaching a handle to it. And they go to work. And he did. Apparently there were 22 stabbings. Now, this is where it starts stinking again. This guy said he did this on Black Friday. The reason being, that's right, Tommy Bird knows. It is the shiv, right? If it was a big metal one, we'd call it, right, a shank, a bone crusher. But the shiv is usually just a small little improvised prison weapon that very often people carry on themselves, not because they're planning on killing anybody, but because they're trying to make sure that they do not get killed themselves. They're friendlies. They go through metal detectors. The term friendly in prison usually refers to any instrument that will go through a metal detector that you can protect yourself with. A true friendly, and no BS one that costs money, is made of metal that will go through a metal detector. And there are metals that will go through metal detectors. But what this guy had was plastic. He stabbed him 22 times. He said he had every intention of killing him. That was the goal. Now, why would he do it? He said he did it on Black Friday because of the fact that Derek Chauvin had started the entire Black Lives Movement. It was the tip of the hat to them and to the Black Hand, right? The people that he testified against. Okay, that doesn't pass the smell test, right? That doesn't pass the smell test. You don't come out and say, I'm going to do something real nice for the guys I ratted on, right? Because they'll let me back in the club. He's got less than 3 years left. This guy's outdates in like 2026. He had a 30-year rip with good time and all the stuff, everything else. He's in protective custody in that place. That's a serious protective custody yard. Here's my theory, which I haven't heard anybody bring up, right? My theory is this. John Tursak does this. The cops in there start spraying him instantly, right? Instantly. Boom, he's on the ground. They get hemmed up. One of 2 things happens to everybody that gets in trouble. Every single time they get in trouble. One is they shut the hell up. Pay attention. If you get in trouble, shut the hell up. Whether you did anything right or you did anything wrong, shut the hell up. Don't talk to anybody. I promise you, it's never going to work out. They'll say stuff like, well, if you got nothing to hide, there are between an estimated 4 to 6% of the prison population is considered probably innocent. Let me say that again. Between 4 to 6%, these are studies that have been done, of the prison population is probably innocent. Right? That's pretty jacked up. That is pretty jacked up. But he goes to work, he gets sprayed. One of two things happens. You're going to rat or you're going to be solid and you're going to shut up and not say a word. This dude started telling on himself within about 30 seconds of stabbing this guy. That's how they got the story of the fact that he was doing it on Black Friday, right? This didn't come out of nowhere. He's cooperating, meaning he's testifying against himself. That's what's happening. Or we wouldn't have heard that. We would have heard nothing about any black hand. We would have heard nothing about Black Lives Matter. We heard that because he told on himself. That's the narrative he's trying to spin. Here's my theory. My theory is this. This dude realizes he's got no life. It's over already. If he gets out, these cats are just as thick on the street as they are on the inside. The people that he pissed off and testified against, these are people who remove you from planet Earth. These aren't guys that don't remove you from planet Earth. They're going to make it take a long time and make videos of it. Like the people that this guy messed with are not people that you mess with, man. So I'm thinking maybe it's what we used to call inside a PC move. Like maybe this guy thought, I got 2.5 years left. I can get famous and get protected for the rest of my time on this planet. Because in 2026, when they let me out, my life ain't worth a nickel. I testified against these guys. Where are they going to put him? Even if he's in this protective stuff, where are they going to put him? They're going to send him back. He ain't got a chance. He knows they're not going to be able to say, this is my theory, man. This is my theory, truthfully. He's on a yard. Before this yard became a piece of crap yard in like 3 years ago. So whatever, do the math. About 3 years ago, they turned the yard. They kicked everybody off and then they filled it with people like Derek Chauvin and people like this John Tursack, the most high-profile people that needed to get protection. Witsec could not be. And I'll tell you, I don't think so. And here's why. The people that they Witsec don't get 30 years in prison. You feel me? If you got witness protection, like you get the Sammy the Bull kind of a deal, right? Like they put you in for a nickel and then they're going to take you out and go put you somewhere. They do that symbolic, I'm going to make you do some time. But this dude got 30 years. A 30 piece doesn't make any sense for if he was Witsec. That's probably not. For those who do not know, Witsec is when you are put in protective custody. It is usually a branch of the government run by the same people that protect the President of the United States, oddly enough. I think he wanted to stay in, Sarah Matthews, correct. Because here's what they charged him with. And here's where it stinks. This is where you got to get out your tinfoil hats. Okay? Because here's what he's been charged with. He's been charged with attempted murder. He's been charged with assault, with attempt to commit murder. Kind of sounds like the same thing, but I promise you it's two different felonies. Then he got charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and an assault resulting in serious bodily harm. The first two felonies carry 20 years each. The second two felonies carry 10 years each. This dude ensured he's going to die in prison. Now, as my esteemed colleague, said in his video, he used Whitey Bulger as an example. And I didn't want to steal this from Larry Lawton, I swear to God. So I started trying to go through and think of any example that's better, but there's just not one. So I'm going to use this as an example as well. But when Geese, the guy that did the hit on Whitey Bulger, did it, they sent Whitey Bulger not to a dropout yard, right, which is where Derek Chauvin just got stabbed. He got sent to an active yard, even though he was supposed to be protective custody. He got sent to Hazleton, and Hazleton's no joke. That's a get down yard. The boys are playing. There's politics. Within 12 hours, he was tortured and killed. They knew who did it. It's on videotape, right? They know who did it. It's on videotape. Guy's last name's Geese. 3.5 years, whatever later, they're still getting their ducks in a row for the case. Haven't charged him. And he's on tape doing what he did. How is it that this dude that stabbed Chauvin in the law library has already been charged by the FBI inside of a week? I did a lot of time in the Bureau of Prisons. I've never seen somebody charged with a knife or any weapons charge at all inside in under 4 years, 3 years. They got no reason to hurry up. You're not going to escape. You're not going to get away. There's no reason to haul the mail and charge you. Who cares? But here's the crazy thing about Chauvin, and I'm not going to get into a debate about whether or not this dude ought to be in prison. It's got nothing to do with the show I'm doing right now. There are a million shows out there about the amount of fentanyl the guy had in his system when he died and all of that jazz. Any way you shake it, Derek Chauvin put his knee on the guy's neck for 9 minutes. Was it in the handbook that you put your knee on a guy's neck? It was. Was it in there that it's supposed to be done for 9 minutes? Good God, no. Right? It's like a 30-second maneuver, right, while you're taking care of something or handcuffing someone. I'm not getting into any of it because it's not the point. But the point is this. There was a Supreme Court ruling last year that said you can get relief once as a federal inmate, once. So what that means is this. Let's say you think your sentence was harsh and you file a motion to go back in front of the court and they rule on that motion and you get relief, right? Or you don't get relief or whatever. That's your one shot of filing. So if tomorrow morning they came out and said, you know what? As it turns out, he didn't do this. Now, I'm not saying that that's possible, so don't send me hate mail. But if it were possible, they couldn't do anything about it anyway. This guy's already gotten his one-time relief. He's already gone and done this. He's been in front of them. He has exhausted his court appeals. Now, does that mean he's screwed for life? What it means is if they were to ever to try to do something to get him, they're going to have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, see what the Supreme Court says. However, the Supreme Court said once already that they don't care. We're not worthy of getting a second chance. Even though anywhere from 4 to 6% are going to need multiple chances to prove the fact that they're not guilty because, damn it, they're not guilty, right? That's pretty funny. People in Southie still won't say anything bad about Bulger. It's amazing. The people, the yuppies haven't pushed out anyway. Yeah, I spent some time in Southie. I'm kind of hip to the culture in Southie. I spent the summer there with some friends, and then I used to go back and forth. I had some Irish friends that lived there, and we used to go up and see them all the time. Set of brothers. Interesting group of people. Yeah, so Whitey, 3 years. What's the difference this time? Well, one of the differences is this. This dude told on himself instantly. This is a convict. This is a guy that knows that when you come in and they say, we've got some questions, you go, I have one for you too. Can I get an attorney? Right? You don't say a word. He's in the law library when he stabs this dude. He knows you don't talk. You got no chance. If he goes into court, he's got some BS. You could say, hey, dude called me the P word. I wasn't trying to kill him, right? He called me a punk and I lost my mind on him because in prison, we're so trained for that name that, yeah, I had a weapon. Somebody calls you a punk, it means they're about to come after you anyway, right? It's going to be a fight. He knew it was coming. He defended himself. Like he could come up with some line of crap. He's not attempting that. He walked in there, said, I did it on Black Friday. Here's why, right? Rolled over. And they charged him immediately because they know they're not even going to have to prosecute this cat. They're not. He's going to lay right down. I bet you the deal's already done. I'll bet you the deal is already done, right? He knows. And I think he'd like to spend the rest of his life inside. I think he'd like to get enough. And I'll tell you something, people. Before the yard flipped, I was there. I was there with Joe Casey, the Joe Waverly. You can look that name up. That was one of the highest ranking gang members to ever go away and never cut any deal. Did all of his time like a stand-up cat. I used to push him around. He was an amazing individual, man. He really was. Still is. He's out, but I do not correspond with him for... I don't need to bring any attention to the guy. I want him to live the rest of his life without any BS. But Joe Waverly was a great, great cat. He and I were on that yard, and I've said this before. I've said it on the lifeboat, so this is nothing people haven't heard from me 100 times. If you're on that yard, anywhere from when you step outside the door, so you can't see all the prison doors, and looking at every building, even the ones that are units, from there to the chow hall, you take a picture at any point along the way and show it to somebody, they'll have no idea you're in a prison. The units look like low-income housing. This is a beautiful place if you couldn't get out. If you were stuck forever, this is paradise. And everybody on that yard was a lifer that fought to get there. Solid dudes with good paperwork that were absolutely going to spend the rest of their life in prison. So that's what they were doing to get there. Or you got rewarded. Like you get stabbed on a yard and they don't want you filing paperwork. See, when I got stabbed at Victorville, they had said that someone had warned them that there was supposed to be a stabbing of a white guy with a cane, and they did nothing. So they were a little nervous that, maybe I had an attorney that for a wife, this could be a lawsuit, like all kinds of things. And I said all I wanted, jokingly, was to be sent to FCI Tucson, because you can't get there without perfect records inside. Like you've never been in a fight, you've never failed a drug test. Like nobody like me ever went to that yard. And when I got there, the guy even said to me, "Why are you here, man?" He's like, "You ain't gonna make it on this yard." He's like, "We don't have drugs here. We don't have," he's like, "This is I said, "Hey, I'm just trying to lay back and do my time. I'm just trying to kick it." But this place is, as far as prison goes, paradise on earth. So if you're sitting there and thinking to yourself, in 3 years, I'm a dead man, and this ain't so bad. I've been doing this 22 years. And now that they've moved me here, this is going to be my place. A prison built for 1,300 people that has 350 on it. When you go to eat in the chow hall, there's nobody in there. It's like your kitchen. For real. Because they're going to be splitting it between units. So you go into this chow hall that can seat 450 people, and there might be 40 people in there eating. This has got to be really soft time. 350 people on that yard. That's some soft time right there, man. It's amazing that the dude got stabbed. Melissa Webster makes a argument you're going to hear a lot of. And I'm not, Oh, I'm sorry. This is really funny. This is so funny. Tampa B man says, just an FYI, they filmed you in the back of a police car. Wish I had known that little ditty. Yes. Well, we all have learned that one the hard way. Yeah. And it's really tough when you're sitting there with your attorney and you're like, the attorney says, "All right, Tommy, tell me the truth, right? You got anything to do with this?" No, I don't have anything to do with this. So when I get the discovery, we ain't going to be freaked out or anything like that. Nah, man, let him give you the discovery, right? I'm squeaky clean on this thing. And then you're sitting with your attorney and she's going, "Hey, can you explain this video to me?" And they turn the computer so you can see it. And it's you sitting in the back of a police car talking to your best friend. What do you think? Are they going to find the dope? Right? Oh, no. Are they looking under the seat? Yes, the dude was an ex-Mexican mafia informant. And if you believe he did this to get back in the good graces of the Mexican mafia, I have a bridge I am interested in selling currently. Just scrap metal alone, this thing's got to be worth $500 million. And I only want $6 million. I'll take that in anything, preferably Bitcoin. But I do have some bridges for sale. If that one goes, I have several others. I'm telling you the truth. If that doesn't stink, if this doesn't make sense, I'm telling you, I heard Larry Lawton saying the whole time he's been down, he's never seen anybody be charged for a weapons charge inside, for an attack, for a fight in under a couple of years. I'm here to back him up. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I've been stabbed, right? I've been on both ends of that equation. I've stabbed people in prison and I've been stabbed in prison. You don't get charged overnight. In fact, it's the saddest thing to watch in federal prison. And if there's any federal inmates or anyone that's ever done time, they'll back me up on this. The saddest thing in the world is watching a guy get close to the gate and he comes up and goes, "You ain't going to believe this." You go, "Oh God, you got ad booked." I did. I got ad booked. Another case. I caught another case. You'd be like, "What happened?" "Weapons charge." The worst case I ever saw of it was from a guy at FCI Phoenix. Second softest yard I had ever been to up to that point. Also lovely. Built very similar to Tucson, slightly bigger in a slightly hotter part of the state. But that, right? This is it. I didn't do it. Nobody saw me do it. Nobody saw anything. Yeah, no. If you're in the back of a police car and you're recorded, why are they charging this guy so fast? It doesn't happen, people. So when I was at the prison in Phoenix, this guy was going to the SMU, the Special Management Unit, with me. That's in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We were on the bus together. We were all shackled, and they're calling everybody off by name. And they're taking them to different prisons. And the only people left on the bus are us, because we're going to the Special Management Unit. We're black boxed, right? We're the last people to leave. And I'm standing next to this dude, or sitting next to this dude, and they call his name, and nobody else's. And he's like, hey, what are we doing? I'm going with these guys, man. I'm going to Lewisburg. And the guy goes, you're going to the county jail, which is where they take you if you have a new case. And he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, did you get caught carrying a knife? He didn't do anything with it. He got caught carrying it. And they 3-striked him on it. They gave him his 3rd strike on it. Now, I'll tell you something. I've seen other people, but he had gotten caught almost 4 years earlier. This guy was 57 days from the gate. The whole time he kept going, they're not going to send me to the SMU. I got 57 days, dude. I got 57 days. Armed career criminal, ACC, which is what they were trying to get him with because it was a weapon. That's ACC. You're an armed career criminal. Carries 20 years. So he took a deal with 56 days left and got 5. Had to do 5 more for him because the guy was carrying a knife on a yard. I mean, it really is almost like somehow they're just figuring out a way to get taken care of by sucking every single day out of every single individual they can. They would rather die than give you a day early. Oh, he worked in Wilmot. Yep. Now works Phoenix Federal. Started working state. He worked in Wilmot. That's Wilmot Road. Wilmot Road is in Tucson. And there are a grip of prisons on Wilmot Road. There are 5, I think, that I know of. There are state prisons and there are federal prisons all on the same street. It's just like hell on one strip. Yeah. It's absolutely bizarre to me that this dude's been charged inside of a week, right? Why the hell has this guy been charged inside of a week? And why the hell does the guy that did it? The only thing that makes sense to me is this is a PC move and he's doing it for life. This is the, hey, I want protective custody for the rest of the time that I'm on planet Earth because these guys really are going to kill me. And if you've done any time, if you've been a person that has danced on that side of the law at any level in your life, this really is a very dangerous group of people. And here's the good news. They're dangerous to people who cross them, right? They're not dangerous to people that don't. That really is the truth. I mean, yeah, there are crossfire incidents and things like that, but it's not like they're randomly out there going after people for no apparent reason is the point I'm making, right? If these people are mad at you, they're mad at you for a reason. And if this dude told on these guys, I promise you, hey, look, I tried to get rid of Derek Chauvin. That's not going to buy you any goodwill with the fellas. That is not going to allow for any kind of goodwill from the boys. This, I promise you. So, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting, people. We need to pay attention to this one. I'm going to keep bringing you updates as they come out of respect, if nothing else, right? Swing by and check out Larry Lawton. He does a really excellent review on this. His take's slightly different. The facts are going to be the same, right? The facts are going to be the same. But he's going to go into a little bit more of the Derek Chauvin end of it. Because look, this is exactly the truth, man. This really is exactly the truth. You know? This guy's in danger, right? Yeah, I think he tried to take out Chauvin for protection. I really do. I think, look, when you cut the deal with the government and they give you 30 years instead of life, that sounds like you really got you a great deal. Then he probably got stabbed on at least 3 or 4 yards, right? I don't know this for a fact because I can't get his prison jacket, but I promise you he didn't get to the number 1 sensitive needs yard in the BOP first try. They tried to put him in places where they could get away with sneaking him in. Didn't work. Somebody beat him up or somebody stabbed him. You don't, unless you're the highest profile people, unless you're Derek Chauvin, right? Unless you're a cop or something like that, he would have got sent to just some normal dropout yard. There's a bunch of them. But the one that he went to is like the, right? It is the dropout yard. This is where they send people that really, really need to be protected, right? Think about it. They're not cutting down dramatically on the staff for the size of the prison, but they're cutting down on the population of the prison by 65, 70%. The prison at full capacity can do about 1280 or something like that, I think is somewhere in there. If I'm wrong, I'm not wrong by much. And this thing's got 360 people there. All right, man. There's a lot of cops and not a lot of inmates, right? They're sending people here that they think they seriously need protection. And it didn't work. Yeah, after this, Minneapolis was torn up bad. It was. And there are a lot of people out there who say there was a rush to judgment on this. Here's what I'll tell you. And the only reason I'm going to tell you is because of this, right? Dropout yard. Yeah, the terms are funny. I'm going to tell you this. The amount of fentanyl that the man had in his system would have killed me. Doesn't mean a guy didn't put his knee on the guy's neck for 9 minutes, right? What it does mean is that that's a heavy-ass respiratory depressant. I mean, a heavy one. And what he had in him was enough to kill you. So I would say that Chauvin and bad training and all of that helped him to the other side, right? That's what it is, right? All the rest of it, there's going to be a lot of conspiracy stuff. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff. And do you think that there was a lot of pressure for them to blame something, right? To blame this and get this taken care of? I think that was probably a pretty big deal. I love it. If they actually wanted to fight the war on drugs, they'd join the side of the drugs. Big Pharma would destroy the black market trade and would more than likely nix the fent. Sure, if you gave the people a supply of a drug that wouldn't kill them, I guarantee you they'll stop buying the stuff that does. That right there is drug user 101. And now, since I got 324 of you here, I was on a show yesterday and I was listening to people talk about everything that's going on with them, with everything. And somebody made a reference and said, somebody going to take the word of some dumb junkie chick. And I thought to myself, it's still cool to talk about drug addicts that way. I promise you, right? Every single dumb junkie chick is somebody's daughter, sister, right? Mother, niece. It's Christmas. How about we all be a little kinder to one another, huh? Let's just all be a little kinder to one another. It's not always I get 326 of you around, so I thought I'd sneak that one in. What do you think? I'm Captain Tommy. I'm going to be back here tonight. We're going to be doing the heavy lifting. All right? Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. This thing stinks. Research it. Doesn't make any sense. Nobody gets charged this fast ever. And why does a dude with 2 years left decide he wants to spend the rest of his life inside? Think about my theory. Do a little research. Tell me what you think.